The United States officially has its first strategic Bitcoin reserve. This comes from an executive order signed by President Trump. The order is a way for the government to own the asset class of Bitcoin.
A little reminder, cryptocurrency is a form of digital money. It is a way to send money on the internet without a credit card. Experts say while some people are concerned that Bitcoin is not insured, they should treat it like a learning experience.
In the past felt like kind of marginal or something happening in the background. I think it's now coming to the foreground, both on Wall Street and in Washington, D.C. So I think everybody should be paying attention and asking themselves, what does this mean for them individually, and how can they potentially